Yeah, welcome everybody. Let's do a quick round. Are you guys excited? I want to hear some voice. Yeah, are you guys excited? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Even if we are doing a silent keynote, looks like we are here. No, that's great. I see some laptops here, but yeah, the idea was having a workshop of 1 hour, and I think we have only 30 minutes. How many of people know Infura or deployed already the app? Awesome, awesome, cool, cool. Yeah, this is like literally some getting started guide, and yeah. Yeah, basically I'm Francesco, I'm doing DevRel for Consensus, mostly doing MetaMask snaps lately, but I'm excited that, yeah, this hackathon we have not just snaps bounty, but we also have a specific Infura. If you guys went to get some swag on Infura, we are I think on the full right side. Yeah, so the idea of this workshop is literally like trying to get an idea on what's how a DApp look like, what's the review, what's the structure and the infrastructure that you want to do, an intro to Infura, and then basically do it for four basic operations: sending and reading Ethereum transactions. We are doing an IPFS transaction when we are storing an image. That's quite excited, and then if we have time, I don't think we have time, but I will definitely send you the resources, deploying an NFT on mainnet and mint an NFT on mainnet. Cool. So DApp review. So I guess everybody. How many of you are hacking this weekend? I just want to try to understand. Okay, everybody's hacking, and I guess also like you have an idea to use Infura or build a snap. So that's quite cool. But the anatomy is quite simple, right? We have our own front end, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Web3.js, where you inject Ethereum truffle ganache for testing your smart contract. How many of you like test your smart contract with truffle normally? Or you use some other tools? Okay, cool, 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 cool. And then obviously, like on a lower level, we are defining our smart contract. We can take some pre-built templates from OpenZeppelin. Yeah, so basically like some React, Web3.js, Truffle for testing, and lower end OpenZeppelin and Solidity. So let's do a quick intro. Like where Infura is actually playing the role. Like in all your anatomy of the dApp, you're obviously like connecting to MetaMask when you're doing your transaction, but if you don't want to basically deploy your dApp locally when you're testing, and you want to deploy it on mainnet or on testnet, you can use basically the Infura RPC, right? And basically it's a node provider that is injecting in between MetaMask and Ethereum. Yeah, that's kind of the high level. Obviously, like you guys, if for the people that raise their hands, you know a little bit already. We also launched the decentralized Infura node network. I don't know in ETH Berlin. That's super exciting. And yeah, so the idea is not just deploying your dApp locally and testing it, but having an efficient and smart way to deploy on different networks. Ethereum networks is just an example, but if you go, and we will go on the Infura website, we can see also that you can deploy your dApp on different networks. Starknet is actually the latest, so that's quite exciting. Why use blockchain infrastructure? Obviously, like we are using Infura because we don't want to like have and run our own node. Those I think like we were using that a couple of months ago, but single full node requirements around 500 gigs, and obviously like full archive. I don't know if you were here like 4 years ago, but I remember like I was doing some full archive stuff and it was taking like 3 weeks, and now it's probably even more 3-4 weeks. Like I think like around 8 to sync and download all the Ethereum blockchain. Distributed system are hard, so there are basically different things. That's why we're going through an RPC provider like Infura. Cool. So you can run your own node and use a provider, and you can rely exclusively on your provider. And I think like the most powerful things that I see in the future is that with this decentralized Infura, we can literally have full distributed node ownership, and at the same time rely on the uptime time for having different nodes. So intro scalable IP, Ethereum on IPFS, layer 2s, Near, Aurora, those are just the main one. and it's basically an infrastructure provider where you can actually create different instant connection to Ethereum and IPFS. You have your set of APIs, you have different features like node archive, and interesting is analytics and metrics. So you can see how many transactions you're doing, and you can see also like different, there are different tiers obviously, but I think like the main one is like 100,000 transaction per day. Yeah, I mean, yeah, 1,000 developers application trust Infura, like I don't know, like obviously MetaMask, but there is a bunch of like other cool providers, like I don't know if you know Uniswap is using Infura, and Coinbase Wallet, 0x, Opera, although like some people don't know, like Opera, they're also like running a wallet, but that is quite interesting. Those are the top 5 method call, right? Obviously, like the get block my number, the get price, the syncing, and the logs. And basically, what you see when you have in your account on the bottom right, you see your bandwidth usage on a peak and on an average usage. So that's quite interesting. Infura infrastructure overview. Yeah, this is a little bit going deeper, but basically what's happening, there are 2 ways that is talking on the architecture level, but Gateway is speaking directly with the RPC system or through WebSocket, and it's basically diving into the performance cache. And there is the data reconciliation part happening directly to the RPC system. Yeah, this is another deep dive, a little bit on the backend side, but the most important part are the two, like the transaction service and the node management service. Basically, where you can have your watcher, the nodes, and the peer-to-peer connector, and on the transaction side, you have the broadcaster and the pool. And then optimization index store are specific toolings that you can record different specific features. That's also quite interesting. Cool. Yeah, so the idea of this workshop was not me running only through slides. I have also a couple of colleagues here that can support, but the idea was actually doing something just for purpose of time. I can run through already a pre-built tutorial, but the idea is that I can also provide these resources that you can go home and do it yourself afterwards. But yeah, so obviously we install MetaMask. I'm using Flask. How many of you know Flask? Yeah, it's basically the Canary version of MetaMask, where there are a bunch of like settings and developer part. Like for snaps, for example, when you're building a snap, you can deploy and use Flask. I'm just using Flask; it's easier, but it doesn't really like change anything. So let's assume that you're going through the MetaMask phase. We have also getting some girly testnet. It's not my favorite, but Paradigm is working well. Also ask me later if you need some girly. happy to provide some. Yeah, sign up Infura. It's like it's literally we can go through, but I can show you directly my my Infura. Let's see if there is internet. So basically that's the normal. So I already created an account. This is just a test account with 3 sample projects. So what you can see here is when you create a new key, basically you can create a new project, but these are previous projects that I built. This is for ETHIndia. We have also Truffle and then ETHIndia IPFS. Basically when you create a new key, you can select the network, right? Web3 API, IPFS or Filecoin. And based on that, you can create a name and get your basically like keys for talking with the env file. But yeah, basically like assume that you registered. Probably you guys want to do it afterwards. But that's basically what I see on my, let's say, on my project. And when you create the project, you can go on the manage APIs, and you can see basically all the endpoints that are provided. So API key, obviously. So this is like a test account, so you can copy and do everything as you want, but this is just for purpose of testing. Interesting, you can see obviously we get started with ETH, but you can also like deploying on scaling and sidechain solutions like Polygon, Arbitrum, Avalanche, Near, and Starknet. This is like the newest, let's say, family member that you can deploy to, and it's quite exciting. You can also have different settings and specific like security settings when you're accessing your secret recovery. Yeah, that's a little bit. So mostly what we will use is basically on the API key, and when we basically like do and deploy our DApp, we can go in statistic and see how many calls actually happens in the past 24 hours. And this is basically the limit of 100,000 calls every 24 hours. And obviously, if you need more, although like if you look at different RPC provider, like 10,000, 100,000 calls for 24 hours are quite it's quite good. Yeah, you see also which requests volume and which network request of volume. Obviously, we did mainnet today. Cool. Oh yeah, this is just an example. Like what you can do is using the curl. Wait, let me just get. We can try it out. But basically, what you can see here is I already added my. Oh, I need to see the. I need to get in the folder in the getting started. Well, what you can do is we can just do that. But basically, what's happening here is let's see where the oh yeah, it's on the right. But basically, what happens is where you're calling Infura with your API key, you can basically see a result like JSON RPC 2.0. The ID is basically the chain where you are, and the result 0x. Yeah, so the idea was basically going through like the getting started guide with Infura, and that's basically this one here. Already basically downloaded for you. We will following those, and after I put also some QR codes that you can go through. But let's just see what's going on here. So we are. But what happens basically is already run through this. So I updated the terminal. So we go to our project directory. We install the dependencies. We basically go through the template TNVM, and this is basically this one here, the .env. So the structure that is, let me just do it a little bit bigger. So basically the structure of the getting started is, yes, you have a bunch of like components. You have the two contracts, the migration and the NFT contract. You have different pages for the React part, and here you have the .env that basically you can define on sending the transaction variable and the IPFS variable, and those you will get from the Infura provider here, the one that we saw it before. So you go on your project. You manage key, and it's basically the one that you see here. Yeah, so I did already this before. So basically, you install .env. You go through this change. You put your key, and basically now we are running it. And basically what's happening is I deployed that locally. And this is basically what look like. Let me refresh. That's basically like a normal, a normal dApp that we deployed now locally. What you can do is connect. You see, okay, this is my Flask account. And what we're doing here, we're just doing a transaction, right? We can do like, I don't know, like 001 or something. Probably spending even more gas fee right now. But, and basically this is where the send transaction is happening. We just did the transfer ETH. And yeah, and basically we did the first sample project. If you want to deep dive a little bit in the code, there is this blog post that we wrote. And you can see exactly where those transaction code implementation are implemented. So the transaction inside is in this one here, where we basically you import, you send the function, and you basically do the Web3 provider, HTTP provider, and getting your current ETH balance. This is basically normal using a Web3 JS part. That's basically like not the best, but is the most common one. Yeah, those are basically all the parts that are happening every time that you are clicking clicking on the dApp. And we are connecting the wallet, where you're basically getting the balance value. And when you broadcast the transaction, basically you are using the transfer. It's basically this one on line. That's a good question. Line 130 or something. This one here. Yeah. So that's basically it for the first part. And by the way, if you have any questions, like shoot, because it's a long tutorial. It should take at least 1 hour to do it. Yeah, that's basically it. So what's now we did is we sent a transaction with the dApp, and we saw like the structure, the anatomy, how it looks like, and where you're actually like doing the specific injection. And yeah, and that's a little bit it. So basically what's happening is the other things that we can do is, that's the review of the transaction. You see the review, the transaction summary. So this is the second part. I already pre-run for you. Basically what's happening is we're uploading a documents on IPFS. And it will take it will basically take this time. This is what we did. So we set up the environment variable. So endpoints, project idea, project secret. This, as before, we go through the IPFS project. So what you're doing is basically creating the IPFS project, you manage key, and these are basically the idea, the secret, and the endpoint. Are you guys following? Just okay, cool. And we run it. So I basically already run it. And what we are doing is we can upload, I don't know, like an image or something. Something like that. This is the QR code for our Infura survey. We can just do it tests, Infura. We can also, those are attributes that are optional, but we can put number 1 and number 2. So what's happening here is we're basically uploading the documents on IPFS. Boom, it worked. And we have also the IPFS hash that we are copying it for the next step. What's here happening is basically we pre-build like some the IPFS Explorer that is happening. We are just submitting, and boom, we have the display file that we can check it. So yeah, so basically here what's happening is we upload an image to IPFS, and what we can do right now is checking code. We can actually, I think, even like display on localhost. Yeah, we did that already. So And this basically what happened is we upload that, upload successful. This is the hash. This is where it's displayed. Yeah. Okay. So running a little bit through the code. Oh yeah, we're almost done. Oh, almost. Yeah, it's basically running through the code. Is we are doing the file upload part, and that's you will find in the upload form TypeScript. We do we do this one. We file. We also basically those are the full file with the attributes. Then we do the upload operation where the JSON package is there. We upload and and basically what's happening is we are running through the IPFS node for the upload part, and then we are displaying it in the second part. Yeah, so that's a little bit it. Let me go back to the presentation what we did. So the blog post that you saw is here. So if you want to run this through at home, that's a useful resource. For the next step, you need to use Truffle for testing our smart contract, but you can get getting started here. This is less important. You can also find it online. Yeah, we are basically going through what I did right now. We pull out the code, we touch the NVA file, and we set it up locally. We started the dApp. We run through the localhost. Right now, we send a transaction. We upload through IPFS. This is basically the next step, right? The minting an NFT, and then here I put some additional resources. This QR code is the survey that we're doing. We can send also when you're doing the survey, like this presentation, if you're interested to. Take like 3-4 minutes. And it's also helping us to trying to understand which network you want us to deploy next for Infura purposes. Yeah, I mentioned before the decentralized Infura, and if you guys are a node provider or you're interested to be part of, like you can apply directly through this. I also added the QR code. Cool. I think we are there. You can obviously follow Infura, and we have a bunch of videos from our dev friends at Infura, and yeah, you can find our booth there. If you're interested in also hacking on MetaMask naps, we are around for the next 3 days. We have 10,000 in bounties, and yeah, also like feel free to stop me wherever you see me, and awesome to be here in India. Thanks, guys.